Imagine the dawn of May 29, 1453.
Beneath the millennial walls of Constantinople, gunpowder smoke swirled across the entirety of the Bosphorus. Amidst the shattered ruins of the Gate of St. Romanus, a middle-aged man quietly unfastened his purple imperial robe, encrusted with jewels, the supreme emblem of Roman sovereignty. Around him lay mountains of debris. In the distance echoed the thundering roars of the Ottoman host. Yet, the expression upon his face was more serene than on any quiet night. He casually cast that priceless silk into the dust, revealing the simple warrior's armor beneath, offered a faint smile to the veteran beside him, and vanished into the billowing clouds of war. His name was Constantine Palaiologos. Tonight, by the rhythmic flicker of the hearth, let us step into the true odyssey of his life. He was the 88th and final emperor of Byzantium. His entire life was spent mending a dream destined to shatter. He witnessed 1,000 years of glory shrink into a solitary island, saw divinity return to humanity, and left behind history's most haunting mystery. No grave, no corpse, only a silent frame of him vanishing into the chaos of battle. This is a story of finality, of maintaining ultimate dignity in the face of despair, and of how to walk alone into eternity after the ultimate disillusionment. The life of Constantine Palaiologos began amidst the rugged peaks of Moria, in a posture nearly ascetic. Though a prince by birth, he inherited a ghost of an empire already riddled with decay, reduced to nothing more than Constantinople and a few scattered remnants. He did not come of age in the spice-scented intrigues of the Blacherney Palace. Rather, the majority of his years were spent in the fortress of Mistra on the Peloponnese, the final refuge of ancient philosophy. Upon those stone steps, he listened to the philosopher Platon speak of Plato's Republic, yet his gaze would always pierce through the olive groves toward the distant east, sensing an irreversible chill. Constantine was not a monarch of banquets. He was a sober pruner, attempting to graft the last vestiges of green onto the rotting timber of the empire. He realized that the crown in those days was but a circlet of bloody thorns, yet with steady, quiet steps, he repaired the defenses inch by inch. This extreme restraint formed the somber, profound bedrock of his character. He reviewed dispatches in his study late into the night, with the lonely silhouettes of mountains outside his window. This composure, precipitated by reason, allowed him to maintain a stone-like peace even when he received the call for aid that he knew would lead to his martyrdom in 1449. When he was quietly crowned at the Church of St. Demetrios, he held no traditional coronation ceremony. The empire was so enfeebled it could no longer afford such intricate extravagance. He returned to Constantinople, the city once known as the world's desire. Its streets were no longer bustling. Many grand palaces had succumbed to ruins swathed in wild grass. Yet, in this desolation, Constantine found a silence that resonated with his own soul. He walked through the hallowed halls of the Hagia Sophia, his footsteps echoing under the colossal dome as if in dialogue with the ghosts of a millennium. While the Western monarchs of that era were busy amassing treasures, Constantine was selling the last remaining holy relics just to reinforce the Theodosian walls, which had weathered countless storms. More than once, he stood upon the docks of the Golden Horn, gazing at the formidable fortress built by the new Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed II, the chessboard of his mind already played out to the final move. He understood the essence of power. It is like the tide, with a fixed rising and falling. His task was not to beg the tide to turn, but to leave the firmest of footprints upon the sand after the ebb. This detachment, having seen through the vanity of splendor yet willing to perish for the truth, was his thickest defense against the distrust of an entire age. During the final 53 days of the siege, Constantine Palaiologos became a ghostly architect walking the razor's edge of life and death. He hardly slept. Whenever night fell, he would personally inspect every section of the ramparts, his shadow stretched long by torchlight against the ancient stone, providing the desperate populace with a near-religious stability. He rejected every offer from Genoese merchants to flee by sea. He told them, if the emperor does not perish with his city, then the very name of Rome loses all meaning. That composure, birthed from extreme peril, allowed him to face the earth-shattering urban cannons as if strolling through his own garden. In his final pre-battle oration, he spoke not of victory, but of duty and of honoring one's ancestors. His tone was peaceful yet resolute, like a dirge chanted under moonlight. In that moment, he completed the metamorphosis from sovereign to martyr. Under the midnight candlelight, he gazed one last time at the map of the empire at its zenith, his eyes reflecting an unprecedented lucidity. He understood that the finale of a civilization is not destruction, but transformation. In silent prayer, he finally found a sense of ultimate, absolute stillness. The morning of May 29, 1453, marked Constantine's final curtain call as emperor. When the last line of defense was breached and chaos flooded the city like a rising tide, the first thing he did was not to take his own life, but, as mentioned in our prologue, to strip away every mark that might identify his rank. He watched the officials who once revered him flee in panic through the streets. His eyes held no anger, only a pity born from witnessing the transience of all things. He knew the empire was approaching its prophesied end, and as its pilot, he chose to sink into the depths in the most unassuming guise. This detachment, having seen through worldly glory yet willing to return to the dust, was the supreme dignity of his life. In the melee, no one knew that the warrior swinging the sword was the emperor himself. In that final struggle, perhaps he felt a freedom he had never known before. He once described the essence of power as a silent gambit played in a thick fog. The outcome is irrelevant, what matters is how you stand within the mist. In the breach called Saint Romanus, he inhaled the scent of gunpowder for the last time. There he was no longer the most senior monarch of Europe, nor the Paleologos feared by rivals. He was merely a common man fighting for the lonely city in his heart. This transition from absolute control to absolute dissolution allowed his life, before vanishing, to radiate a dignity as hard and pristine as marble. When the Ottoman banner was raised atop the dome of the Hagia Sophia, Mem II searched frantically among the heaps of the slain for Constantine's whereabouts, yet found only a pair of red silk shoes embroidered with a double-headed eagle. The emperor departed with profound quietude, as if simply finalizing a civilizational transfer timed to the second. He provided the answer to the question from the prologue: was that final curtain call heavy? In truth, the heaviest burden was not the lost territories, but the ultimate loyalty to a noble soul that never faltered even as a millennium of foundation crumbled.
And you, now, do you feel it?
That sense of peace, as somber and stable as the Theodosian walls, reaching across 5.5 centuries. The smoke of Byzantium has long since cleared, the ruins of the Blachurni have returned to the earth. Only Constantine's solitary disappearance remains in the midnight of history, like a faint lamp swaying in a chaotic world, a flame that refuses to be extinguished. This is a strength that does not need to roar, the finality of a soul that knows how to take its leave. Tonight, may you drift into sleep accompanied by the scent of gunpowder from the journals of Constantinople and the steadiness born of that absolute composure. The world has fallen silent. It is time for you to let go of the day's distractions.
Good night.